Hi, I'm Brooke Rolfing, and you're watching KGCS Channel 22. Congrats on 30 years.
Hi, I'm Eric Crosswhite, and you're watching KGCS Channel 22. Congratulations on 30 years.
Congratulations, KGCS, on 30 years.
Hi, I'm Michael Woody Woodruff, and you're watching KGCS Channel 22. Happy 30 years.
Hi, I'm Cliff Irwin, and I want to wish a happy anniversary to KGCS and hope 30 more years and more.
What is your favorite memory or memories from working in the Comm department or KGCS?
It was really just all the opportunities. I spent a lot of time behind a microphone, either with KGCS or KXMS, announcing ball games, and it was just being able to be a part of Missouri Southern in the Comm department, also the sports department, and really just being a part of that and making those memories.
Do you have any horror stories from the department that you're willing to share with us on camera?
I wouldn't really call it a horror story, more than a fond memory of I used to do Southern Sports Sunday and do color commentary.
Awesome, okay.
And one night our director couldn't make it, and I used to punch the shows here and there between commentating, and so I ended up having to punch the show and commentate at the same time up in the press box of the football stadium and make sure which headphone I had on. If I was talking to a camera guy, or if I was on camera, I just had to remember which headphone I had on and make sure I had the right shot, calling the shots. So it was a little bit of a horror story because at the time I was sweating bullets making sure that we were getting everything right. So
My favorite memory was bringing back the campus update show after it had been gone. It had been on hiatus for several years, and so a friend of mine, Kisa Clark, and I decided to bring it back and do all the grunt work behind it, but also be on camera, and so that was probably one of my favorite memories.
Any horror stories? Every year, of course, the Cardinals come down for the Cardinal Caravan. And I'm not a Cardinals fan, don't pretend to be. But I had the opportunity to interview several of them. And talking to Shelby Miller, I asked him how it was coming from the University of Texas to St. Louis. But he was drafted out of high school and never played for the University of Texas. So he looked at me like I was the dumbest box of rocks. And we moved on with the interview pretty quick.
What was your favorite memory here at KGCS or in the department?
I had a great time here at school. I started out not really knowing what I was going to do, but I ended up being a comm major and then turned education major later. But I worked at KODE for a long time, straight through college. Ended up meeting my husband, Eric Schroeder, here. And so, it was a great experience. I had a lot of fun here.
What is your favorite memory from the Comm department or KGCS?
Oh my gosh. I got lots of favorite memories. Probably the collaboration with students. I was a non-traditional student. I was a lot older. And there was a lot of students that were pretty much all of them were just very creative and they brought a lot of enthusiasm to my life, and I really enjoyed that.
Do you have any words of advice that you're willing to share for anyone specifically at KGCS, but also maybe even in the media realm in general?
I'd say just keep an open mind, always be willing to change or learn new things. My mantra has been the whole time that when something new comes along and it kind of scares me a little bit, like when the digital transition happened, go in there. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn from them and keep pushing through.
Education is very, very important, and if you're looking to go out into the field, it's very, very important to get that degree, but it's also very important that you kind of open yourself up to a lot of experiences, because especially in communications and all the different fields that apply to that, a lot of what they're looking for is experience, and it's just going to help you feel more comfortable, and the more comfortable you feel in any line of work that has to do with communications, the better you're going to tend to do.
Best advice I could give anybody, a student, is just try to do everything you can. Don't be afraid to try. If you fail, just try it again next time, try to do better, learn from it, and if you have the opportunity, just go about and do it.
What are some tips you have for current students?
I would say take classes that you don't think you're going to like or you think might challenge you, because I think for me, one in particular, feature writing, made me way better on camera and a better writer, but it was a hard class, and it challenged me, but it also made me a better student too.
There was that top English teacher. Ate a coffee.
Welcome to Southern Perspective. I'm Daphne Massey, your host for today.
Good evening and welcome to Southern Today. My name is Eric Schroeder, and my guest tonight is Dr. Earl Dillman, the Director of Counseling and Testing here at Missouri Southern.
Recently, Congressman Roy Blunt had an opportunity to visit with our own Tammy Spicer in Studio B.
Congressman Blunt, thank you very much for coming out to the campus today.
Well, it's great to be here again.
Hello and welcome to KGCS Reports. I'm Robin McAllister.
Good afternoon and welcome to KGCS Reports, a program produced by students at Missouri Southern State College Department of Communications. I'm Courtney Hulsey.
And I'm Shannon Palmert.
Welcome back to Athletes in the Spotlight.
I got to say, there were many favorite memories. From me trying to figure out how to get my first show in the air to me hosting my first show and not really knowing what the heck I was doing. But one of my favorite memories is probably the year of 2000 when we broadcast our first live basketball game. And it happened to be the year that the Leggett Athletic Center opened. It happens to be the year that the Missouri Southern men's basketball team had its best year ever. And so the fact that we were able to be sort of groundbreakers to not only broadcast the first basketball games, because Southern Sports Sunday had always done football but never basketball, but we took it a step further and actually did the games live. So that to me, myself along with Andy Searcy, who's still in town working for KODE, was probably one of my favorite memories of all time.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Lions Basketball and KGCS, along with Andy Searcy, Ezra Lamy in the house. Missouri Southern officially has picked up their second ever MIAA championship, and they did it right here in the leg of the flat. 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, and you hear it. And Northwest Missouri State will walk away for the third time a loser. And there isn't a team more fittingly deserving than Missouri Southern right now.
Did you miss this week's airing of Newsmakers on KGCS-LP? If so, don't despair. Newsmakers is now shown locally on 2 other television stations. On Thursdays at 7:30 in the evening, KOZJ Channel 26 presents the program. And on Saturdays at 6:30 in the morning, you can see Newsmakers on KOAM Channel 7. So you can tune in throughout the week to find out about issues and topics affecting your life. Thank you for tuning in to KGCS, a service of the Department of Communications at Missouri Southern State College.
Well, Coach Frazier, I'm very pleased that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to be here today, and we wish you lots of luck in the upcoming years.
Thank you for, do we fill in your 28 minutes?
Yes.
You didn't have to worry too much about it, did you? Thank you very much.
We've been talking with Coach Jim Frazier, the athletic director for the men's athletics at Missouri Southern State College. Thank you for tuning in.
Well, that's all we have for this edition of KGCS Reports. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great summer.
Well, that wraps up this edition of KGCS Reports. Thanks for joining us.
I'm Daphne Massa for Southern Perspective. Good day.
Thank you once again for turning into Athletes in the Spotlight. We congratulate all those athletes and the teams who work hard throughout the year. Bad weather, good weather. They deserve the credit, so I give it to them in the spotlight. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week in another episode of Athletes in the Spotlight.
just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
Donovan Edwards, graduate of 2010 at Missouri Southern. Happy anniversary.
My name is Erica Nichols. I am a graduate of Missouri Southern State University, class 2010, and I just want to wish KGCS a happy 30th anniversary.
Yes, I'm Dr. Robert Clark, and I'd like to say happy anniversary to KGCS.
I wanted to know, coming specifically from a communication student myself, how did Missouri Southern and KGCS prepare you for your future career on KOAM?
Complete hands-on. You know, we got to actually touch the equipment. Mm-hmm. We got to actually perform on-air interviews. We got to actually produce different shows. You know, a lot of the homework assignments, or what you will, we had to produce short videos and whatnot. So,
Okay.
and I also did some DJing over at the radio station as well.
Fun.
So
Okay.
that was fun.
Very cool. How has KGCS impacted your professional life?
Well, it was basically most of my professional life as I came here and started this station 30 years ago.
Fantastic.
And remember those memories of doing that very fondly with the few students in July that year when I came down here. We started producing programs to go on the air in the fall.
My path has been one that's unique, one that's really been driven by instinct. Being able to think quick and on my feet to recognize opportunities when they come. So I started out in the ad sales world. Although my experience was predominantly in front of the camera stuff and production stuff, when push come to shove, I realized the business side of the business made a lot more sense for me. And so I got my first start in ad sales with a company called Petrie Media, which used to be one of the biggest ad sales companies that represented TV stations all over the country. And then after 2.5 years there, I was lucky enough that Warner Brothers gave me a call to give me my first start in the programming world.
So you graduated in 2010. I know it's only been 4 years, but have you seen a significant change in technology since even when you were in school?
Yes, I've definitely seen, there's a lot of HD, there's a lot more, you see a lot more CG graphics, even on the small screen, not so much television, or not so much movie theaters, but a lot in just television. It's almost any show you produce with a lot of action or fantasy or anything like that, there's a lot more of that because CG is so much more accessible now.
Okay. Yes, I completely agree, and I know exactly what you're talking about with shows like Once Upon a Time and of that nature. Now, you've obviously been pretty active in the media realm, so I want to ask you, how has the change in technology affected the way you sort of do your work?
Oh my gosh, it allows you to be so much more creative, because when I started out, we were doing tape to tape, 3/4 inch to 3/4 inch, and it'd be 11 o'clock the night before your show had to air the next day, and you'd break control track and you're done, and you'd have to start completely over. So now, you know, technology, you can, it drops, I mean, it frees you up to not worry about the technical issues and worry about the creativity of it, and that is so freeing and so, such a relief.
Are there any horror stories as your time as a student?
Horror stories. My friend Shelby Bates, who is also a comm major here, who works for KSN, we totally ticked off Dr. Clark one time by talking in class. Shelby may have gotten yelled at, and I thought Dr. Clark might explode, but it all worked out.
I guess my next question would be, do you have any words of advice for students pursuing something through KGCS or even in the communication world just in general? Do you have any tips you'd like maybe to share?
I would say work as hard as you can, learning as much as you can about the business, and don't just specialize in one area, because often you want to change and do something else, and you can progress through and get to the point where you can make more money if you go into management.
Do you have any words of advice for present comm students, me included?
Definitely ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
Ask a lot of questions. Get a lot of hands-on experience, because this is really one of the few colleges where you could come in and immediately start working with the camera and getting that experience. You don't have to take a lot of theoretical classes first, and the teachers here really have a lot of knowledge, so it's about asking questions and using those resources while you have them, because they won't be quite as accessible after you graduate. And if you could really work one-on-one, and definitely do every position. A lot of people want to just be on camera, but learn what goes on in the back, because when you know what goes on in the back, you can kind of help them and set yourself up for success and less editing and things like that later if you know what they're doing back there.
Do you have any words of advice? I'm a comm student myself. I'm a sophomore. Do you have any advice for communication students or KGCS students in general?
Play. Just play as much as you can. I mean, do your work, do your schoolwork, do what you need to do to keep your grades up, but just get in there and play and be creative, because that's how you learn. I mean, you're going to learn the nuts and bolts by getting there and trial and error. Trial and error now before you get into the real world, when you have the time to do it, and you can play and have fun. I mean, because if you're not having fun doing it, I mean, I'm still having fun doing it 20 years later, so yeah, that's play.
Do you have any horror stories from KGCS?
Horror stories. Wow, I don't know if I'd ever call them horror stories. I mean, there's been the odd times where you have a show, you have a guest, and you're on set, and you're short of people to work the camera, and so you're trying to figure out how to navigate. So, which, while it may have been stressful times, but those are also the opportunities and experiences that actually help force you to think on the fly, which are real life situations that when you get out in the field that you got to deal with on a daily basis. So no horror stories to speak of.
Do you have, by chance, I'll let you pick one or the other, any horror stories or an extremely happy memory that you were willing to share about your time here at KGCS?
Well, I don't have any horror stories per se. There's a couple things come to mind. One of my colleagues, who I hope comes tonight, Eric Schroeder, I remember we were doing some little things in the studio, and we put a blue apron around him and put him in front of the green screen. Of course, maybe it was a blue screen back then, and so his head was floating while he was interviewing somebody. So that was pretty funny. I did get in trouble by Dr. Clark at KXMS for playing rock music on the classical radio station. So it's kind of a rebel.
Yeah, a rebel. That's what I was going to say. Can you please give me either a fond memory or maybe a horror story that took place at your time here at KGCS?
Oh, there's equal measure of both.
Putting you on the spot, but
yeah,
come on, give us the exclusive. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. We did a sketch comedy show called Pirates of the Air.
Oh no.
And so there were many instances. I remember this was '94. It was the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding incident in the Olympics. I'm probably too young to remember that, but and where she was beaten down by the other ice skater in the hallway. So we did our whole sketch of that like 2 weeks after it happened. So it was very timely. And so we were putting the beat down on one of the guys in the hallway with a tube of whatever, and I don't remember. And he was screaming, and we were yelling, and I remember Ward came out and yelled at us and told us we had to be quiet. Their class is going on, but that was pretty exciting. I mean, the best memory I think was I started television production my sophomore year. Okay. And we were the first class to go into Webster. They had just built it, so the studio was brand new, all the equipment was brand new, and we walked in, and all the faculty and staff were like, "We don't know how to use any of this equipment. You guys go have fun, figure it out." So we spent our whole sophomore year playing with all the new equipment and trying to figure it out, and then it was wonderful. So it was a great learning experience for us. Hi, I'm Mark Bumgartner, class of 1995. Happy 30th anniversary. Thanks for everything you've done for me.